Here's the way to think about it. If you imagine, and I've ordered some glasses, because I tried to do this on C-SPAN, and I was on C-SPAN a couple weeks ago. I was dumbfounded that if any of y'all saw it, there were only hostile callers. And I figured, of course, y'all are taping, I'll get in trouble. But I wondered, they're either watching Fox or at work, you know. There were all these hostile callers. People were actually saying, well, the federal government they can do whatever it wants. You're just not telling the truth. The federal government's got limited power. I just couldn't believe it. I used water bottles, and I'm going to have glasses made. Imagine, this first glass is We the People. This is Texas. And then this is the... and let me get over here where you can see it. This is the federal government, Texas, and We the People. And the way to remember, again, since elected officials have no rights, only duties, and we the people have all those rights, powers, and privileges given to us directly from the hand of God, if the water within this bottle is all the rights, powers, and privileges given to us as free people at the moment of our birth when He knitted us together, we know that all those rights, powers, and privileges come from the hand of God. We the people, when we created the Republic of Texas in 1836, then we only agreed to loan the government of the Republic of Texas maybe about that much power and reserved all the rest to ourselves. And then when Texas became a state and the United States joined Texas at midnight, December 29, 1845, because again, the Constitution of the state of Texas, the legislature has all the power not taken away from it by the state constitution. The federal government's only got limited power. The limited federal constitution in 1845 was designed to be that when Texas joined the United States, we only agreed to give, the United States joined Texas, let me get that right. We only agreed to give the federal government, I don't want to do too much now, let me see about above that much. And this is truly the way it works. Now, as a result of, and the people on C-SPAN couldn't get it. I was using bottles, and I've got a glass that's being made with that script, We the People, from the Constitution, in gold. And then I'm going to have the Texas seal in silver, and then the federal seal, the U.S. seal, in black over here. And I'm not touching it. But, you know, gold, silver, you know, it just makes sense. But as a result of the war between the states, and y'all are going to have to forgive me. I can't get this up any higher than this. Dan, come here for this for me, would you? I'll have Dan hold the federal glass here for me. I want to make sure everybody can see this. Dan, if you'll hold that federal glass. Now, literally, as in the C-SPAN folks didn't understand what I'm talking about. This is just historic fact. There's no way around it. God forbid the war should never have been fought. Oh, and by the way, of course, the founders also thought Congress would have the courage to solve slavery. Yeah. So they left it with Congress. I mean, that poison, that cancer, because of that poison was left there. If Ned's holding the federal government glass, then that first shot was fired at Fort Sumter, and then Lincoln was assassinated as a result of the war between the states, a radical Reconstruction Congress, the concentration of all power in the hands of Washington. You know, Texas was under military occupation. And then the New Deal, judges like William Wayne Justice, congressmen that love to protect the little children. Look how tough I am on crime, and by golly, I'm doing this, I'm bringing home the bacon, and I'm doing this, that, and the other. By the time you really look at it today, again, Congress told me I just got to buy health care. They said my child is overweight. There's literally nothing left. There's absolutely nothing left in the We the People glass and the Texas glass. It's gotten so far, so fast, so bad that if we're a quick example from recent history, when we had a state constitutional prohibition against taking out a loan against the equity in your home, a federal bureaucrat at the Department of the Treasury issued a regulation saying that you could take out a loan against the equity in your home. That unelected, invisible, unionized federal bureaucrat with the stroke of a pen somewhere in the Department of the Treasury overturned the Texas Constitution. Now that's poisonous and dangerous, destructive of our whole system of checks and balances, because the founders intended that not only would we have as free people most power reserved to us and our locally elected officials, but that we would, as state governments, would control and limit and check and balance the federal government. But that's all been lost. Think about the power of Napoleon, the power of Julius Caesar, and the power of the Pope all rolled into one. Thank you. The federal Congress is that powerful. A law passed by Congress, almost nothing can withstand it. Basically, all the things that you see Obama doing and other presidents doing, these exercises of executive authority, are either because Congress just passed a law and gave the chief executive all that authority, or they're too gutless to try to stop him. Most of what the president does, there's not much to it. The president's only responsibilities are, what, appoint ambassadors, commander-in-chief of the armies, execute the law. That's it. I like to point out to the senators in particular, the House was created first in the order of scheme of creation. Article 1 is the legislative branch, very limited. So here's how circling back, here's how William Wayne Justice ties back into this. Because Texas, better than anybody else, illustrates beautifully this whole idea that we reserve the core of individual sovereignty to ourselves as free people and to the state government. I did, as a part of the research, I discovered that Republican Texas, of course, had a prison system, that we had a criminal justice system, and that I argued before the Fifth Circuit was that we never gave up that right as a state. Because there's nothing in the federal Constitution about criminal justice. There's just in piracy, I think counterfeiting, a couple others in here. So the idea, what I want to suggest to you as solutions, first it's this, because I'm going too long, forgive me. You okay? Yeah. I mean, by golly, this works. This is a silver bullet for Wolfman. This stops him cold. This is a kryptonite. It's a Superman. This is it really works because we've done it with William Wayne Justice. And we in Texas, better than anybody else, can illustrate this for the nation. And it will take, however, a new federal law, which means a new federal legislature. Because this was all destroyed. Our individual freedom, the fact that all the powers in Washington and not in the hands of the state or we the people, what Congress can destroy by majority vote by law can be restored by majority vote law. So what I've already designed as a part of the 10th Amendment Task Force is, and this is going to, I have to warn you, now this might, I don't think it'll really scare anybody in this room, but what I'm about to lay out for you is going to cause some hair to turn snow white around other parts of the country. One of the best, quickest ways the federal government gets their hooks in us is the money. Once the states take the money, you got it right here. They can't break the addiction. So the first thing that I've done, and I've designed and authored a piece of legislation, but we'll never pass it under Nancy, but we will under the next Congress, that says that all federal grant money has to be approved on a record vote by the state legislature or the local government that's taken the money. Now that seems pretty simple, but it's not, because the bureaucracy signs us up for it. The Texas Education Agency, the Texas Department of Health and Human Services, the Harris County Hospital District, the Harris County Housing Authority, the City of Houston Housing Authority, all these block grants that come down, it's just absolutely like water out of a fire hose.